Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to share our condolences with the Jets organization who lost members of their family in recent weeks. The other day, Joe Douglas, before the Aaron Rodgers press conference, was speaking about the passing of Cappy, the team's director of football operations system. He'd been with the Jets for 15 years. Joe, who obviously is close to all of us here, called him a great teammate, a great person, invaluable to their football operation. We want his wife, Courtney, and his family and friends to know they're in our prayers. We also want to send our condolences to Jets CFO Brian Friedman and his wife, Diane, who are grieving the tragic loss of their son. It just hit us all hard here, and we're thinking about them. Okay, on to football.
Howie, I know a lot of homework went into Jalen Carter. What did you guys find?
Yeah, I think that for us, our investment is a huge part. I mean, I've talked about Dom many, many times about the work that he does, which is the best in the National Football League. And we understand that all these players, they need to be developed. They're coming into the league at a very young age. They're not finished products. I think all of us, when we were 21 and 22, hopefully have grown a lot from that time. And, you just really want to get to know the person and what's in their heart. And I think when we got to know Jalen, we just felt like here's a kid that, he does love football. Obviously, he's a winner. He won in high school. He won in college. And, we felt like we have really good people in this building. We have really good support staff. We have really good players who are good people. We have really good coaches. And we felt like it was a good fit for us.
Last year, Kobe sitting on the board in the third round, but it was a surprise. Were you surprised that Nolan was still there at number 30?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things in the draft that I think you got to be flexible. I think, you go into the draft and you say, hey, here are a couple of names at 30, and then you see guys sitting up there like Nolan, and again, like an incredible person, obviously got unbelievable traits in his body, leader, and winner. So for us, we're fielding calls at that time, and I think, Coach and I kind of just looked at each other and said, hey, this is the guy, and we didn't want to get too cute, and we're excited to add him.
What was the reason behind moving up the spot in a trade with the Bears?
Yeah, I guess it happened a couple of times tonight. Maybe we started a trend. I think that for us, we wanted to get the player, and we wanted to make sure that we got him, and we felt like maybe we can entice the Bears by giving them a pick. Not saying they were taking him. I have no idea what they were doing. But we just wanted the player. At that point in the draft, we felt like that was the right decision for us. And we really, like we talked about, wanted to come out with an impact player. And we feel like Jalen could be an impact player for us.
For both of you guys, we talked to Jalen on a Zoom call right after the pick. It's only a Zoom call. He just got drafted. I understand it's kind of unusual circumstances for the kid. But he was asked a few times about the incident in Athens, and he didn't come across, at least to me, as accountable about it. I know you guys are big on accountability.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair, Ruben. You just said that. I mean, what do you want him to talk about an active investigation at that time? I mean, at the end of the day, he just got drafted, and, you're asking him, you're putting him on the spot on that. And so
what I'm asking is, what was his, when you talk to him about it?
I think it's hard on a Zoom to feel out a person's heart and their accountability.
With you and what he learned from it, how he grew from
I just don't think it's fair how you said that you didn't feel like
you're
that.
You're being overly critical of a kid who's trying to enjoy the best night of his life. And I think for us, obviously
it's a very big part of.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But you're judging how he reacted based on a Zoom call. And I think for us, these are his teammates. These are people that he was close with. Obviously, it's been a traumatic process for him throughout the spring. We understand that there's a reason that he was available at 9. I mean, I think everyone will tell you this is one of the most talented players in the draft. It's one of the most talented players to come out of college football in a long time. And, obviously, that's part of what we're talking about. We got to develop the people. We got to develop the player. And I think for us, we take that part seriously. We think that it's important that not only are we caring about people as players, but we want to care about the people, and we're going to wrap our arms around them and do the best we can to help him and understand. I mean, that was a tragic night. It was a tragic night, and we're sorry for the loss. to those families, and we're not trying to downplay that situation. But obviously, we got to get to work here.
Jalen said that he wasn't asked by the Eagles about the incident. Was that true?
We spent a lot of time investigating the incident around it. We talked to Jalen about a variety of things. And again, we're not going to get into what we talked to our players about. That's not fair. We wouldn't go into what we talked to Nolan about. But at the end of the day, nobody's hiding from the fact that a tragic event happened. And, we'll do our very best to make sure that both these players develop every skill set they need to be successful.
Having Jordan and Nakobe here, factor into the decision to draft Jalen, if at all?
Well, again, for us, Jordan and Nakobe are their own entities. We need Jordan to be a great player. We need Nakobe to be a great player. And I don't think it's fair for us to put the responsibility on those two guys. It's our responsibility to manage this team and to make sure that we have the right pieces around. I look around, our people who are here tonight, who are in our organization, and I have tremendous confidence in our people. And at the end of the day, I'll bet on the people in this building. That's on the field and that's off the field. And, that's what we're doing here.
And you started the draft work in earnest. Did you think Jalen was a possibility for you?
No, not a 10. Didn't think that, but obviously been around this a long time and things happen, and I think you got to be prepared. And we didn't go into this draft thinking like there's only one player we had to get. And I think that wouldn't have been good. And just like at 30, there wasn't only one player we had to come out with, but. We're just starting here. We just started. Obviously, we got 2 days. Tomorrow's a big day for us, and so we'll get back to work.
Obviously, pretty unique to have four.
In crafting relationships in the pre-draft process, what stood out with your interactions with Nolan and Jalen specifically?
Yeah, I do get to come down here. I shoot baskets with them, and so that's and talk to them for a long time to figure out their toughness, their love of football, and then just their competitive nature. And, got to know those guys. Obviously really liked both of the guys, right? I felt like both guys were extremely tough on film. And then you get to dive in a little bit more about them and how their mental toughness is, and love that about both of them. And then also saw their competitive nature come out in here when we were playing basketball or shooting hoops together. I wasn't playing one-on-one.
How did that horse game go against Jalen?
I beat Jalen. I did not, but Nolan beat me.
What about that one move?
Yeah, he kind of stood right there and did a windmill dunk without taking a step. So I was pretty impressed by that. He got an H on me right there because I didn't have that.
I think your reaction was, Jalen Carter just took a flat-footed windmill dunk and asked me to match him.
So, I'm looking forward to continuing to get to know them, right? Connecting with all our guys is a top priority. I can't tell you how many times, before our game, our last game of the year last year in the Super Bowl, the leaders on this team stood up and just talked about how connected they were. And how tight this team was and is, and how they didn't want to let each other down. And I think that's a really good thing for both of those guys to step into, because I know one thing about winning teams is that winning teams have that connection. So they're coming from a program in Georgia that the same connection, is the same, right? And then they're going to be stepping in this building where we feel like the connection is strong with our team as well. And so loved my hour with those guys. I think I'm slotted a half hour. I take an hour every time.
All the time.
Yeah, and there's 30 of those, so I go a little overboard there. But really loved my interaction with those guys. I'm so glad that they're Eagles. So glad that they, that's a big thing. When you go away to college and somebody there, that helps. When you come to you come into a profession and you know somebody, I know that helps. And these guys know a lot of guys here, so really excited to continue to build on that connection that we made while they were here.
It's kind of unique to have four guys who were college teammates here and with the Eagles. Are there distinct advantages to that on and off the field?
Yeah, I think so. Again, like anytime you're familiar with something, have that. There's a lot of things that they're going to come into this league that are unfamiliar to them, right? There's countless amount of things, right? So to have a little bit of sense of familiarity with some of the guys that you've went to battle with and won a lot of games with, that's huge. I think that's a huge part for these guys to have each other.
Howie, on the tampering issue, can you give us a little information on that and why you guys settled the way you did?
Yeah, I think the league handles those issues, and obviously we'll abide by the league's decision in that matter, and we'll move forward.
What was your reaction when you found out about both Gannon and the Cardinals there?
I know I think what you're probably trying to bait me into something here, but I know Gannon gave everything he had to that game. Everything he had for that Super Bowl, he gave to this team, and and so no reaction because I know where his heart was in it, and so yeah.
You mentioned
one thing that Jalen also mentioned on his Zoom call was he wasn't in like top shape condition for his pro day and everything. How much of a concern was that for you guys? And also, like, do you think the veterans that are here on the team will make sure that's not an issue going forward?
Yeah, as I said, like he didn't have the spring that he wanted to have. I mean, obviously starting with that event, and I think the event and the issues surrounding it, I think they derailed him this spring. And the first thing he said to us was, "You tell me what I need to do," and I think he's a proud guy, and he wants to show people. What kind of player he is and what kind of person he is, but he's got to do that with his actions. In terms of our team, I love our team. I love the players on our team. I love who they are as people. I love their work ethic. I mean, I didn't come in early today, and Coach called me, and he said, we had an amazing day. Now, he's not allowed to be with those guys, but he just saw them. He said, we just had an amazing energy day. I walked down, and you could feel the energy in our building. Like, I love our guys. And he first said, we had an amazing day. I said, what? I wasn't here? Is that why we had an amazing day? We have good people, and we have a good locker room, and I think that, Dom told me today he'd spoken to a bunch of our guys, and they embrace the opportunity to rally around each other and to rally around young players and to show them the way. And I think that's what really legacy is about, and I think these guys understand that, and it makes me even more proud about our players.
Can you give some insight into his personality, Jalen's personality, and perhaps why maybe he may need this extra support that you've spoken so much about?
Well, I think one, because obviously, there was a tragic event that happened, and I think we have to all acknowledge that, and we can't sweep it under the rug, and we got to make sure that he's kind of moving forward in a way that's positive, and I think that it's unique to have kind of a circumstance when you're coming out of the draft where this talented player has a spring that's not necessarily in line with the rest of his career. Did I answer that question?
Why would he need this extra support that you've spoken about? I mean, beyond the accident, is there something about his personality?
I think I said, to be fair, that I think all the young players who come in this building need development and support, not just Jalen. And I think that what's important for us is that our perspective, I'm not saying it's right, but our perspective is that you're talking about 21 and 22-year-old kids who are moving to a new city for the first time with a new atmosphere, a new environment, and to just think, all right, now they're going to be really good, it's not really fair. I mean, none of us just plop down in a new environment and all of a sudden we're like, oh, yeah, it's perfect, So we got to develop all our players. We got to develop all our staff. I mean, that's what we do when we have young staff come in here. We try to show them the right way, and, that's our job.
With Nolan Smith, any sense why he dropped down to the latter part of the first round, and how did the medicals check out with him?
Is there a medical issue?
Well, he didn't finish the season because of the pec.
He's healthy with the pec. I think when you get into the first round, some teams, I mean, you pick who you like, and you pick what you're looking for there, and so it'll be hard for me to kind of say what other teams are thinking, and I'm sure every team is happy who they got in the first round. So,
You mentioned, Joe, before you had the cohabitation matrix. I know that kind of went away, but Jordan and Nakobe are very young, but how much do you tap into those guys when you're bringing in their former teammates?
yes. Do you want me to go further? Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. Coach and I both talk to guys. I mean, we kind of have the atmosphere around here where a bunch of our guys are trying to recruit us to draft a bunch of their players, right, Coach? So, guys from Georgia want Georgia guys. Guys from Alabama want Alabama guys, and we clearly don't have enough Florida guys. So, I think that's fun. And it's.
I mean, just from the fact that because Jalen had gone through so much, do you try to go, I guess, delve a little bit deeper with the guys who knew him well?
Yeah, and like I said, we didn't do that any less for Nolan Smith with Jordan and Nakobe. We didn't do that any less from guys who played at different schools with different guys. We're always asking our guys, like, hey, what do you think about this guy? You played with him. Would he be a good fit here? And we also understand, that I'm not going to say bad things about my friends. If you ask me, hey, should I hire one of your friends? I said, yeah, he's a great guy. So we also understand that. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.